Hey, and welcome back to another video. And in this video, we're going to be looking at how we can use user defaults and app storage in our SwiftUI apps. In this video, I just want to show you how you can use user defaults and make our lives easier when we're actually writing our SwiftUI views by actually using the app storage property wrapper. So let's get into it. So user defaults is a local storage for our SwiftUI apps that we can use to store simple data types in here, such as strings, bools, and integers, etc. You actually want to use user defaults when you're working with any data that needs to be saved in between app launches and accessed later. But one key thing to note is that you don't want to actually store any sensitive data such as logins, access tokens, or passwords, or anything that you may consider as confidential for the users in here, because it's quite easy to access it if you want to. So in this tutorial, we're going to see how we can actually save the state of a light bulb in user defaults, and then look at how we can use the app storage in our SwiftUI views to speed this up even more. So first of all, we're just going to create some UI with a button and an SS symbol. And if you want to learn more about these, then check out my videos, buttons in SwiftUI and SF symbols in SwiftUI as well, in the SwiftUI sessions playlist. So let's just add this in now. Okay, cool. So what we just got here is this VStack with an image using the light bulb, and we've also got some text as well that's going to show us the light bulb state, as well as a button that we're going to use to actually toggle the state of our light bulb as well. In our button, what we actually want to do is actually turn our button either on or off based on some kind of source of truth. So let's actually just add this at the top here now. So I'm just going to create a state property called isOn. So this is our source of truth for this view that's going to dictate whether this light bulb is on or off. Cool. So we actually want to use this source of truth in our views to actually change between two different states. So we want to change the view's local state. So the first thing we're going to apply it on is our image, and we're going to change the symbol variant and the foreground style. So let's just do this now. So just below the padding, we're just going to say symbol variant. And if it is on, then we want to set the symbol variant to be fill. And if it isn't on, then we want to set it to be none. So it just looks like what it is now. And then for our foreground style, we want to set, if it is on, to be yellow. And if it isn't, then we'll just go to default it back to black. Cool. And then in our text on our light bulb, we're just going to change the text that's in here depending on our source of truth as well. And then finally, in our button as well, we're just going to do the same thing that we did in our text. So as you can see, we're just saying here, if the button is on, then we just want the text to say turn it off or else turn it on. Now within our button action, we actually want to toggle this here. So we want to toggle this value here, but I actually want to toggle this with a bit of an animation. So let's just add in the isOn.toggle. And then what I want to do is I actually only want to specifically animate this image here. Now I could wrap this in the with animation block, but what that would do is actually cause all the views using this property to animate, which is what I don't want. So instead, we're just going to apply it onto specifically the image. So we're going to use the animation modifier, and then we're going to say we want the animation here to be ease in and out, and then we want this to be animated based on if is on changes, like so. So now only our image will change. And if you want to learn more about animations, then check out my video animations in SwiftUI, which is also in the SwiftUI sessions playlist. So let's actually just test this out and run this. So if we just run this on our previews, you'll see that it actually animates nicely for us. Cool. So the next thing we want to do now is we actually want to save into user defaults and persist the state of our light switch. So if I actually turn this on and then I close the app and then reopen it, I want the light bulb to still be on rather than reset back to off. So just to show you that now, for the rest of this tutorial, I'm just going to disable the canvas and run this on the simulator. So if I actually turn this on and then just stop it from running and then reopen it, you should see that it actually doesn't save the state of our light bulb. So how can we tackle this? Well, this is where we can actually use user defaults to help us store values within a local storage. So let's do that now. So on our VStack, we're going to say that whenever this is on changes, we're going to store that within user defaults. So on your VStack, we're going to use the onChange modifier. And if you want to learn more about this modifier, you can check it out in my video, SwiftUI Life Cycles in the SwiftUI Sessions playlist. So we want to say onChange of is on. we want to get the new value, and then we're going to say UserDefaults.standard.set new value for key bulb toggle, like so. So what we're saying here is that we want to save this new value, so either the true or false, in UserDefaults for the key bulb toggle. So this is the key for this value if we want to ever access it, or if we want to save it, this is the key that's associated to it. So now what we want to do is that when our view comes onto the screen, we want to set our is on to the value that has been saved in UserDefaults. So just below the on change, we're going to say on appear is on is equal to UserDefaults standard dot bool for key, and then bulb toggle, like so. Okay, cool. So you can see here we're using bool for key, but if we're working with a string, we'd have string for key, and you can actually see the different ones available. So if we just click into here using command and click, you'll see that you actually have bulb for key, double for key, integer, and these are all the different things you can actually save in UserDefaults. And if you scroll down, you can see these are all the different values you can use to set in UserDefaults as well. Cool. So let's actually just run this on our simulator and just see what happens. So I'm just going to turn this on, and I'm going to stop it from running, and I'm just going to reopen the project, and you can see that it's actually not working. So the reason why this isn't working is because if you actually look very carefully, I intentionally made a mistake. So you can see here that the bulb is actually spelt wrong. So these two don't actually match. So if these two do not match, then it's not going to work. So let's actually try that again. So this time, if we run it, you'll see that it works, and it's actually turned on our light because the keys match here. So this is a good way of working with UserDefaults in your view models and whatnot. But with SwiftUI, there's actually a way to actually directly work with UserDefaults without having to need to type out all of this. We can actually use a property wrapper called AppStorage, which is built on top of UserDefaults, and it allows your SwiftUI views to read and write to it as well. So let's just use this now. At the top of our file, what we're going to do is now we're going to take out our state property because we don't actually need this anymore. And instead we're going to create an app storage for our view. So let's do that now. So now, before we just delete this here, we've added in the app storage property wrapper, and we're saying here that the key is bulb toggle. And then finally, we've just used the same thing that we used before. By us using this app storage, we're able to now treat this as our view source of truth and also commit changes to UserDefaults as well. We don't need this here anymore. Instead, we can now observe changes here and write to UserDefaults. So let's actually see this in action. So if we just run this on our simulator, you'll see that our light bulb is actually still on. But let's actually turn this off now. Okay, cool. And let's actually run this. And you'll see that our light bulb is actually still on. Now, this is something that you need to be wary of when you're actually working with AppStorage, and I'm not too sure if Apple have fixed it at the time of this recording. But to actually test this out properly with AppStorage, instead, you actually want to run your app and then stop it, and instead you want to launch it, and then we can turn it off. And if we actually close this app and then reopen it, you'll now see that it actually works. And if we do the vice versa of it, so if we do the opposite of it, and then close it, and then reopen it, you'll see that it's working. So at the time of this recording, I don't think this has been fixed for AppStorage yet, where if you run it directly through Xcode, it updates the UserDefaults via AppStorage. So if you want to test this out, you do need to actually stop the project from running and manually close it and reopen it from your simulator to see it have the effect. Cool. So that's everything from me. If you enjoyed this video, I'd love to hear your feedback in the comment section below. Also, as well, if you haven't already, I'd really appreciate it if you give this video a thumbs up, as well as subscribing to the channel and hitting the notification bell to get updates for whenever I release a new video. That's everything from me. I'll catch you on a bit. Deuces.